And this is our troupe.
Aha.
That's me with the clarinet. And I remember we played the one the Saints Go Marching In. And that's Tony Diamond. He has since passed away. Sarah Sue, I don't know where she is now. Love to find her. Sig Sakowitz, he passed away. Joey Bishop. Tippi Hedren, she was starred in The Birds. And this was Mel Bishop. He was a friend of Joey Bishop's. And this is Jennie with the accordion. But we have a very interesting story to tell about this because we were so close with Joey Bishop in Vietnam. Some years later, when we were 28 years old, we were performing at the Comedy Store. And we went to Las Vegas, Jennie and I. And when we were in Las Vegas, we saw that Joey Bishop was performing at the Riviera. So we sent a note backstage and we said, remember us, we're the twins that you performed with in Vietnam with the USO. He said, he called us back there. He said, meet me tomorrow at my where I'm staying. They give me a house to stay at here. So we met him the next day and we were talking with him. And then he said, excuse me. And he went over and he greeted a comedian, someone we knew from the Comedy Store. And he interviewed the comedian, and the comedian left. And Jennie and I said, well, excuse me, but we're curious, what were you doing with this comedian? His name was Alan Bursky. And he said, well, I am going to hire a comedian to write for me for The Tonight Show. 4 times a year, I substitute host for Johnny Carson. So I'm going to hire this guy. And we said, well, Alan is very good, but there's a terrific comedian. He just came out from Indianapolis. His name is David Letterman. And he's making $25 a night introducing people. And Joey said, well, tell you what, tell this David Letterman guy to come over to where I'm staying when I'm in LA. I'll be there in a week. So we told David, hey, guess what? We set up for you to have an interview with Joey Bishop to write for him on The Tonight Show. And he was very excited. So, but a week later, David came over and he said, I got the job. I'm so excited. Terrie and Jennie, thank you so much. If there's anything I can do ever to help you, please let me know, because this looks great on my resume. Well, since that time, Jennie and I asked David for 5 favors. One, Jennie knew a young man who was just starting out, and he had one country hit called If Tomorrow Never Comes, and his name was Garth Brooks. And Jennie called David Letterman, and said, could you please put him on your show? And David said, well, I don't like country music, and if I'm going to have a country performer, I'm going to have someone famous like Kenny Rogers. But that was actually the second favor. The first favor we asked him was Jennie and I were performing, and we had our own show in Indianapolis called the Country Sisters Show. And we knew that David was from Indianapolis, so we called him in LA, and we said, David, would you please be on our show? We'll take a film crew and film you doing your comedy. And by then, he was about to host The Tonight Show for the first time. Because when he was writing for Joey Bishop, he got to know all of the producers, and they got to know him, and one thing led to another, and that was really the beginning of his career on The Tonight Show. So David Letterman said, well, he said, I'm about to host The Tonight Show, so I really don't want to take a chance with my career right now and do something on your show. And then we said, well, how about if we just film you saying, hello, Indiana? And he said, talk to my agent. So that was a no. The third request we had from him was Jennie was doing a Rebuild LA campaign, and she wanted to put some of the people, these were people who were unfortunate people who were turning their lives around by selling shoes on the street. And Jennie, they were gang members actually, and then Jennie tried to get him to help promote what they were doing to change their lives. He said, no, I don't want to have anything to do with that. The fourth favor that I asked is I was married at the time, and I said, my husband wrote a book called The Lawyer Book, and Ralph Nader wrote the introduction. Could he please be on your show? And his answer was no. And the fifth time we asked him for a favor, Jennie and I were actually in New York to be on the Geraldo show. And we called and asked, can we have tickets to be in your audience? And he said no. So much for David Letterman.
So you